Assassin by Anna Myers. This is the story of a young girl and an assassin. I was christened Arabella. On the lips of John Wilkes Booth, Arabella sounded like a name fit for an angel. He is dead now, and people say he was vile. John Wilkes Booth was an actor and an assassin. My grandmother did not believe in the theater. Lest I be unfair to my grandmother, Cora Witherspoon, let me say that she fed and housed me from the time I was 8 until I went to work at 14. I even owed my job to my grandmother, since she taught me the fine art of sewing. She passed her White House position to me when her fingers became too stiff with rheumatism to work. And so I was sewing in December of 1864 when I first saw Wilkes Booth, when he came into the costume shop of Ford's Theater with the lady. It was only my second time there. I threaded a needle, and then, still holding the needle in the air, I asked, "Does Mr. Booth come into the shop often?" "No one must hear our conversation," he said. He stopped in the middle of a row, in the middle of the theater. "Sit down, Arabella," he said, "and tell me at once if you see anyone." He sat backward in the seat beside me, his body turned so that he could watch the other way. He turned to look at me, reached out his hand, and rested it against my cheek. "Tell me, sweet girl, are you my friend?" It was that very evening, at Ford's Theater, I first heard Wilkes' terrible proposal. John Wilkes Booth conspired to assassinate the President, Abraham Lincoln. John Wilkes Booth planned to assassinate the President of the United States at Ford's Theater during a play. As the President and the First Lady watched the play from the President's box, John Wilkes Booth entered through a doorway. The assassin strikes. The people mourn. The assassin flees Washington City across the Potomac. Thousands watch as President Lincoln departs Washington City, April 21st, 1865. I leaned against the ledge of the box and took one last look. I remembered Mr. Lincoln, the worn lines of his face, and the warmth of his eyes. I remembered Wilkes, what gifts he had, what power to lead those around him, what he might have been if only the twisted, angry part had not taken control. I would never be the same for having known him, but his ghost would not haunt me. I left the dimness of Ford's Theater. Out on the streets of Washington, D.C., the sun was bright.